join us in the holding area for the 2A race in the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, and a testament to how close the racing is that anyone in the top 10 on the grid could realistically finish on the podium.
Yeah, you are completely right, Lloyd. It's not just the first, second and third. It's 10. It's anybody's game in this race. So what we have Ollie Allwood in P4, who was 7/10 of a second from P3. And then we've got John Langridge, who's in P8, who was the fastest in race 1A. So it really is anyone's game. But we're going to hand it over to Jake to take us through the rest of the grid.
Thank you, Lloyd and Lyndsay. Wow, much sunnier than the first race, so I think this one's going to be all about putting it to the absolute limit. Blackwell, Chambers and Smith on the front row again from Comber and Allwood, Trott and Fisk on the third row from Lewis Cannon and John Langridge. Then, of course, in the midfield, it's going to be particularly exciting. Charlie Burgeon, Martin Tolley on that fifth row from Steve Foden and Ben Hansey, Paul Bateman and Paul Tucker, then Jack Brewer and Marcus Bailey. We've obviously got the 5 newbies joining Group A. Orange, Chisnell, Robinson, Hawkins and Ledoyen were the top 5 in Group B, and they join Teddy Clark, Charlie Rawls and Clive Poles towards the bitter end of the grid. But that just makes things very interesting to see how far up the order they can get in this second race of the A Group this weekend. 5-second board goes up on the Marshalls post, and we're getting ready for the start here at Oulton Park. It won't be long before these guys are charging towards Old Hall once again. Wait for it. Let's race at Oulton Park. Good start from the front already from Blackwell Chambers. Combers trying to get alongside him, but Blackwell Chambers just trying to sort himself out on that inside line with Sam Smith, who has initially got just as good a start. On board with Martin Tolley as we go through Old Hall. People will be a little bit more confident through this first corner, so it could cause a few problems. And behind us, Ben Hansey went a little bit wide, and there's a big spin in the middle of the course. That is the 60 going around. Goodness me, that's Nick Ledoyen, and there's more trouble further up. That looks to me like 74 Clive Chisnell, I think, went for a bit of a pirouette. I could be wrong. That might actually have been the 19 Oliver Robinson. But an absolutely incredible start to this race as several of them have gone. Well, one of them is Alan Hawkins for definite, and it is Oliver Robinson, the 19, getting going again. Now, this could be another safety car, the second in as many races in the A group. As the drivers battle their way down towards the Shell Oils corner, we can only wait for the decision from the stewards as to whether we're going to get a safety car or not. But that's a very dangerous part of the circuit, of course, Old Hall. 3 of them going off. I think the only one who's still not moving is Alan Hawkins, the 722. But interestingly, it was Robinson, Hawkins and Ledoyen who all went off at Old Hall. They were the guys who finished 3rd, 4th and 5th in the first of the B group races earlier on today. So a very exciting start, but how about this? We now have Blackwell Chambers having slipped down behind the 2 MCR cars. So Mike Coomber did eventually get himself into 2nd place. Very exciting stuff as they continue to battle away through to Hislops and up towards Knickerbrook. That's the 42 of Paul Bateman, continuing his charge there. 67 of Simon Orange, trying to move his way further forward. Oh, got a bit of a tank slap at that time. That's Martin Tolley on board once again as they charge forward. This is going to be a very interesting battle as the drivers continue to work together in formation through this fast part of the circuit. He's trying to get away from the cars behind and off the circuit. Goodness me, that's a scary place to go off in the try. And how on earth he has saved that one. My word. Steve Foden getting away with murder on that one. The back end coming out big style, and he was very lucky to walk away from that. Not only does he walk away from it, but he actually continues to keep going. Now, so far, no safety car call. So I wonder, did Alan Hawkins get the car out of the way, or has it been judged to be not too dangerous a position? We'll have to look as they come through. Oh, goodness me, Blackwell Chambers putting one wheel on the grass as they come through. Well, no dramas. I think they're okay, actually. I can't see Alan Hawkins' card there anymore, but it could just be the angle. So I think we're all right. I don't think we need a safety car after all. But Smith leads, Comber in 2nd, 3rd is Blackwell Chambers, 4th is Allwood, 5th is Brian Trott, and these 5 have broken a gap out to the rest of the field behind them. So they fly through the left-hander. Really good start so far. Smith, Comber, Blackwell Chambers, Allwood and Trott all together. Car gets so twitchy on the limit of adhesion as they fly through Island Bend. The car wants to skate around in a straight line. It's such a physical car to drive, this Mazda MX-5. Really good fun. The drivers get such a buzz out of racing this Mark 1, which can only be improved with the generations. Of course, the Mark 3s race brilliantly in the Super Series and Super Cup, but this is where a lot of the drivers who have raced there have started. A lot of them have remained in the Mark 1s just because it's a beautiful little car. It's absolute perfection, and the racing is furious and frenetic, and there's so many drivers to race against. It's up the inside. Trott makes the move on Allwood into Hislops and gets the run as they come up towards Knickerbrook. Into the right-hander, beautifully timed there from Trott under the braking zone for Allwood and into 4th position. Now that's really impeded Oliver Allwood, whose main championship opposition is there ahead of him in 3rd place, having taken a race win in the first of the races this weekend. So first for Blackwell Chambers in race 1, 4th for Allwood. That definitely makes the championship harder for Allwood to continue up in front of at the moment. But Blackwell Chambers has got 2 red and white cars to battle with. It's starting to look a bit like Groundhog Day 6 at the moment, because he's got so many laps he's battling with these guys over the last couple of weekends. Cadwell Park, he was practically glued to these cars he's been racing with, and now it's happened all over again at Oulton Park. Deja vu. This is starting to get just freaky. So down to the first corner once again. Smith, Comber, Blackwell Chambers, Allwood and Trott. Here's Langridge trying to make a move up the inside. I think he's managed to pull that one off, but you can just hear how hard the drivers are pushing through Old Hall, as there's Teddy Clark trying to make his way up the inside of the 93. Hang on, Jack. Jack Brewer does manage to keep in front of Paul Tucker, and Teddy Clark had to back out of that manoeuvre of his own there because that was looking to be quite deadly. But Stephen Foden is in front of these guys as they continue to battle away. Now this is a little further back. This is Teddy Clark trying to find one move on Clive Chisnall. And as they come out of the turn as well, out of Cascades up Lakeside, these guys are all squabbling away. A little further up the road, we've got these two battling. Clive Poles in front of Charlie Burge, who has been able to pull off some pretty sweet overtaking manoeuvres over the course of the season. He's been one of those drivers to really have your eye on. Ben Hansey, meanwhile, behind him, is looking pretty dialed in at the moment. Looks like he's got a good run on Charlie Burge. He won't make the move into Britain's, but if he can keep this kind of form going, he may get an opportunity up over Hilltop and into Hislops. He is looking quite threatening there. Here come the leaders once again, the top 5. Allwood behind Trott, as we know. Lewis Cannon looks like he's about to lose 6th place to Fisk. Fisk looks like he's got through. Then it's Tolley, Langridge, Poles, Burge, Hansey, and the 42 of Bateman. Then it's Foden. And that's Simon Orange moving to cut across. The move from Jack Brewer. Goodness me, they're rubbing doors nearly as they come through. They do touch, and somehow Orange gets away with it. Brewer backs out of the throttle, does make the move stick round the outside of Knickerbrook though, so I think that's all going to be fine and dandy. Tucker is run out of road to the outside of Knickerbrook, and here comes Teddy Clark round the outside, up over up over the Clay Hill. And now Will Blackwell Chambers has found his move on Comber, and I think Trott isn't going to wait around for another invitation. He's going to stick it on the inside at Lodge and get through into 3rd position as well. Meanwhile, further back, Poles has got his run very nicely, neat and tidy on Martin Tolley. Tolley's got to sweep across, and he's just going to keep the place. Goodness me. So Martin Tolley hanging on to it. Really good racing. Typical Mazda MX-5. Once again, these guys are absolutely licensed to thrill around this Oulton Park circuit. Bit of a late lunge in for Tolley, but he corrects it on the exit with a nice tuck across to the apex. I thought we were going off the road then, but no. Good run this for Blackwell Chambers, who's lost 2nd place. Trott has got through, so Trott has got himself at a 2nd position. This is oh so sweet for Sam Smith, and Allwood has got his way past Comber, so now he's going to make the move on Blackwell Chambers through Ireland, and he's into 3rd. Good run from Oliver Allwood. He definitely needed this. So Blackwell Chambers has got to try and fight his way back past his main opposition in the championship in a straight fight. They come off Shell Oils and back on the power once again up towards Britain's. But Mike Comber is not waiting around either. He wants to get a move on the 1. So I think he's going to have a crack at that himself. Here he comes. Will he get a good opportunity out of the turn? Oh, puff of smoke further back as well. So some good racing all around the circuit, as to be expected. Everywhere we go in the Mazda MX-5 Championship, we always are treated to grandstand motor racing. As again, Blackwell Chambers tries to tighten his grip on Oliver Allwood in front of him in 3rd position. No dice at the moment. And still, the battle continues. Still, there is going to be a really good bit of opposition between these guys. Up and over Hilltop, hanging to the left side of the circuit. Blackwell Chambers using a little bit of curb just to try and get a little bit extra momentum off the turn. As we drop back from the top 5, we'll look at the men fighting further back. There's Fisk, there's Langridge. Poles is still hanging on to his little battle. Hansey in the middle of all of that lot. There's Foden in the 77. We've got a nice little battle further back. Now Jack Brewer's got past Simon Orange, and Orange is trying to hang on in front of Teddy Clark and Paul Tucker. So some great squabbling all the way down this field, and that is always it's always been one of my favourite elements of this championship. You can watch the racing at the front, you can watch it in the midfield, you can watch it at the tail end, and there's always going to be a great duel on the circuit between 3 or 4 cars. So Mike Comber sat at the back of the train when he spent a good fair deal of Cadwell Park at the front of it. So he knows how to get back into position, but it's a lot harder to make a gap on the inside when the car in front of you is already clambering over the bonnet of the car ahead. And that's Oliver Allwood battling away with Will Blackwell-Chambers for 3rd position. This isn't just for the final step on the podium in this race, it's also for the supremacy in the championship lead, and Allwood moves across to try and stop Blackwell-Chambers using that inside line at Ireland, but Will commits and gets back through at exactly the same place Allwood got him a couple of laps ago. And now Comber's going to find a way through on the inside, locks up! Goodness me, well done, Mike. That was very well committed. And somehow he manages to get through, but I bet that right hand front tyre feels a little bit more like a 50p piece than it did when he took that apex. But still, Comber is through and into 4th position, bouncing around big style over those curves. You can see the suspension going to work as they come up over Hilltop. And on the run down, Foster's once again into Hislops. This is going to be a really interesting challenge for these guys to continue as Trott hangs on to this 2nd place. Blackwell-Chambers has dropped Comber and Allwood for the moment and wants to get himself straight back into 2nd place, while he can see in his rear view mirror that Allwood is still there and still threatening to make a way past his current combatant, Mike Comber. They come up and over the top of Hilltop. Trott is still there, running a very good race this. Will Blackwell-Chambers in 3rd position. They come off the power, back on the throttle, under the bridge once more, dueling for position as they go under Warwick Bridge, down in the braking zone for Lodge. Can they make their way through? This is going to be tight. No, Will Blackwell-Chambers isn't going to get through there, no chance. So as they come up over the crest once again, up over Deerleap and over the finish line. We're going to keep this battle going all the way to the finish line. I can sense it. We haven't got too long of that to go. Goodness me, pushing hard in that first corner as Allwood has made a move up alongside Comber. He is going to make the pass. So he's through into 4th position now. Good work there from Allwood. I think he's managed to get that one stuck. Paul Bateman on the inside making a move of his own as Jack Brewer has left this little dogfight further back. We've got Orange, Clark swarming around trying to get through on the inside. He's going to have to bail out of it and hope that Orange just goes too deep into Old Hall. Tucker's in the mix there as well, trying to get one past Clark. Back on the power. This has got to be neat and tidy through towards Cascades once again. Tucker's going to squeeze Clark to the inside line. Beautifully done from Tucker. Oh, he was in his element there. Is the back end nearly losing it? Goodness me. Paul Tucker, the back end steps out and he manages to catch it before the car goes for a pirouette. So great racing at the front, but just as good racing here at the tail end. Orange, Tucker, Clark. Brilliant battling as these three still have 2 drivers in behind them that they're battling away with as they continue their charge. We've got the 43 Lewis Cannon, who's had all sorts of problems in this race, still hanging on in front of Charlie Rawls, who's not having the best day at the office either, but is still enjoying the fight. They come off of Shell Oils and through to the Britain chicane, left, right through the hairpin and up once again on towards Hilltop. This squabble looks like it could go to the finish line as well, as Jack Brewer has just scarpered. He's left them to it. You battle away. I'm going to have a quiet drive in the sunshine, thank you. As they break down once again. Oh, well defended there from Orange. There was no chance Paul Tucker was going to get through. So Simon Orange continues his way forward. As they continue to battle away, Orange is going to go a bit wide. Caught the car jinking out. And Paul Tucker drives to the left. As he's obviously failed on the right side, he now goes left. Orange hangs on to it. This is going to be exciting stuff as they continue their intense dogfight. But again, Lewis Cannon sees a chance on the number 10. I'm not sure he's going to be able to find a way past Teddy Clark quite so easily as that, because Clark's got his attentions already dialed into Paul Tucker. He swings out to the right. He's going for the move back towards the sharper end of the grid. Clive Poles is hanging on to his position as he battles with Martin Tolley and Ben Hansey through that first corner. And Tolley still with Ben Hansey all over the back of him. They get back on the power out of Old Hall, down the avenue. And this is where Clive Poles can really start to skate away from Martin Tolley or let him go through, back through Cascades. Keep a good line. Nicely done, but Tolley's line was quicker. We're on board with Martin Tolley as he starts to get close to Clive Poles. You get a real feeling for the intensity inside the cockpit here. Whistling tyres as they continue on, still chirping away. Pushing the car so hard into the braking zone. Tolly's got it nicely nailed up under brakes. He wants to make a move on Clive Poles, but Poles is keeping that Mazda very wide at the moment. No chance of getting through unless something happens up front. Because at the moment, Tolly gets closer and closer and closer as he possibly can. But well firmly shut there, the 18 of Clive Poles. He's got this one nicely nailed up at the moment. That door is firmly shut. You shall not get through is the verdict at the moment. They come up and over the hill once again. So this battle continues, and it's still getting tough. It's still intensifying as they continue to run around the circuit in full gusto. Back off the turn. All going well as they come back up the hill. Look, he's actually waving and gesticulating to Ben Hansey behind him now. Come on, we're losing ground to Clive. Let's work together. Let's push up hilltop. Let's get there because we are losing so much time. Smith, meanwhile, out in front, is looking like he's finally going to get a victory here at Oulton Park. Having had a good race one, but just missing out to Blackwell Chambers. He's now having to battle with the man in second place, Brian Trott, who's not letting him get close to Sam Smith at all. They come up the turn, back over the finish line once again, out of Deerleap and on towards Old Hall. Now, how is Blackwell Chambers going to make this move on Brian Trott's stick? Because Trott is keeping his car perfectly on the racing line. No chance of him losing ground here at the moment. He seems to have the car very nicely dialed in. The team have obviously given him an absolutely perfect car to play with. And he's driving beautifully at the moment, keeping the reigning champion at bay. The only consolation really for Will Blackwell Chambers is that Ollie Allwood is one place behind him once again, and he was in front of him at one point, so at least he's been able to outfox the man he's fighting with for the championship. But Sam Smith, if he gets too many victories like this at Blackwell Chambers' expense, and him losing a couple of places or an extra place to Sam Smith, then it's not going to be too long before Sam is right back in the championship fight. He's not far off it at the moment, and a victory would definitely do his bidding for that title a world of good. Up towards Britons again. Left, turning under the brakes, a little flick of the brake again for the right just to get that little bit less momentum, then back on the power through the halfway point of the apex, keep the foot flat to the floor through the last part of that apex, up over hilltop. And now Sam Smith is becoming further and further and further away from these guys' chances of grabbing a win from him. It looks like they're only going to be racing for second place today. Certainly in this particular race anyway. The next one, we don't know yet. But it's looking ever more increasingly likely that they will be fighting for the scraps of those positions. They come up and over the turn once again. They've come through that left-hand sweep. It takes forever to go through the left-hander there at the water tower. And then into the right at Druids. Keep the car nicely balanced through. You don't want to do a Steve Foden. Although, to be fair to Steve, he managed to catch it very well, didn't he? Over the crests, over the bumps under the Warwick Bridge, and then into Lodge once again. Running out of laps, running out of time. Will Blackwell Chambers is trying to... It looks to me as though he's dropping back a little bit from Trott to have another run at him. Because sometimes if you just fall a couple of car lengths back, you gain a little bit more momentum and you gain yourself a little bit more motivation because you know that there's a chance to come back. Oh, he's gone a little bit too deep into Old Hall there. He has to concede a couple of car lengths to Trott, and that's going to make his mission just that little bit harder. We're definitely getting into the closing stages here at Oulton Park on this fantastic circuit. I would actually say, looking at the time we've got left, this could actually end up being the penultimate lap. If not, we'll only have one more after this. So it's touch and go as to whether this is 2 laps to go or 3 laps to go. But I would estimate it's 2. As Sam Smith out in front, really enjoying things in the lead of this race. He hasn't really got too much to break a sweat about, has he? Out of Shell Oils, and this has been a really good move, a really good race from the man in front. Pole position initially, of course, from the qualifying, and proof that he is still the fastest man around the circuit in race trim by getting away and getting clear. And all he has to do now is just hang on to the car, just keep it parked on the right part of the circuit through each bend and get on the power when needed. Brilliantly done here from Sam Smith, but this battle for second place, this one could go all the way to the finish line. So once again, down into the braking zone. Trott holds at bay Will Blackwell Chambers, who is working so hard to get past, and he just doesn't have any space. And once again, the car seems to bottom out through that first initial part of the apex. He's trying his best to stay with Brian Trott, but it's stalemate between these two. They come up through Clay Hill and on past the water tower. Oh, Blackwell Chambers trying to get through on that inside of Druids, but Brian Trott moves to cover. He's still creating the move through on the inside. They bang wheels. Goodness me. You can't run it much closer than that, and Blackwell Chambers is now going to go for it again as their mirrors kiss as they go down the straight. Up on the inside, Blackwell Chambers gets second position. He's been building up to that one for an entire lap, and now he's found his way through, but he's got to get straight back on the defensive as into the last lap goes Sam Smith. So I was right initially. We only have time for one more now. Blackwell Chambers still holding off Trott. Trott's going to come around the outside of Old Hall, and that's not an overtaking place unless you've got a lot more horsepower. And these cars are all absolutely identical. So Sam Smith hanging on to it in the lead of the race. No problems for him. He's been able to get clear exactly when he needed to. But the battlers behind are still going full guns blazing. Look at them. They're still squabbling all over the place at the moment as they continue this charge forward. Really exciting racing. Fantastic stuff and a great battle at the moment as they continue to work forward. So is this going to continue throughout? Into the Shell Oils hairpin. Some good racing still to come. And as they battle up, Sam Smith has got no pressure at all. He just needs to keep the car firmly planted in this last lap. Just keep the car exactly where it needs to be. Point it in the right direction. He's still pushing very hard though. Goodness me, the back end of the car wanting to come around at Britain's, but maybe that's just the way Sam Smith likes this car, slightly on the edge, because he seems to be dancing with it at the moment. He's very comfortable. Look at this squabble for second place though. Trott and Blackwell Chambers still battling at it, and that's giving Oliver Allwood a chance to come through. And remember the last lap of the first race when Trott lost a couple of places, dropped from second to fourth at the end of the last lap? Well, if that happens again this time, then both the championship battlers, Oliver Allwood and Will Blackwell Chambers, would see themselves on the podium, so there's still plenty to fight for there. But for this man, Sam Smith, it is all fine and gravy at the moment. Through Druids, back on the power and under Warwick Bridge. This has been an absolute rout for the leader, Sam Smith. And they're still squabbling for the second position. That could end up getting quite tasty. Leaves Sam Smith to his victory dance as Allwood goes for Blackwell Chambers. He's on the grass. Two wheels go there. Comer's trying to find some space as well to overtake. Trott's married to that inside line, so there's no way through. Victory for Sam Smith, no problem at all there, but there's that run to the line for the last three as they battle for the two steps to the podium. Trott's going to be there. Blackwell Chambers hangs on for third. Fourth is Allwood, fifth is Comer, sixth is Langridge, and seventh place is Michael Fisk. Wow, that was exhausting. What a great run to the flag. Smith takes the victory from Trott, Blackwell Chambers and Allwood, with Comer watching every move they made. Langridge and Fisk in front of Clive Poles, Steve Foden and Ben Hansey. Fastest lap? Are you that surprised? It's Sam Smith. Charlie Burge, Martin Tolley, Jack Brewer, Paul Bateman and Simon Orange well into the top 20, with Cannon, Tucker, Clark and Rawls. And then it's the five who will get demoted, sadly. Bailey, Robinson, Ledoyen, and our two retirements from the race, Clive Chisnell and Alan Hawkins. Great race from our winner.
Sam, this is a huge congratulations moments for you. You said you were going to do it, and you did.
I know. I don't know if I didn't believe I was going to do it, but I got out front, managed the gap, and I beat the blue car. That's all I was bothered about. Didn't care where I finished. So, yeah, well happy with that. Really happy.
Can you talk us through the moment that led you to overtake him?
I just got a good start. I hung him around the outside of turn one. Will, he's a fair driver. He did give me the room, to be fair to him. Mike followed me through, and Mike was on my bumper. I managed to do a really good first lap, a really good second lap, which just gave me a little bit of a break. And then once I was away, I was happy. I felt comfortable and just stopped looking in my mirror, so I stopped making mistakes and, yeah, left it 5 laps and had a good lap. So, yeah, well happy.
So is this smile going to continue into race 3?
I bloody hope so. It needs to, yeah. Hopefully the changing point in the season for us, so, yeah.
Huge congratulations again, Sam, and we'll see you later on.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Brian, before the race, Lyndsay and I were saying that anyone in the top 10 could have finished on the podium, and wow, you made it look so easy.
It certainly wasn't easy. Starting from the third row there was tough, and it's never easy to pass around here in the Mazdas. Such a quick track, so you've got to do all your moves under braking. Luckily, we were quicker yesterday in the dry in testing, and the sun's come back out, and we've managed it. So big thanks to Team Trott. We're in the mix, I think. Obviously, Sam won that by quite a margin, but as soon as I got into second, He didn't pull the gap at all, so there is hope for race 3 as well, and it was a great battle with Will, nice and clean, and we battled right to the last corner.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you can do in race 3. It'd be interesting, especially if the weather holds out as it is at the moment.
Well, we had mixed conditions for qualifying this morning, and all 3 of us were about a tenth separated. So again, if it's like that, it's going to be another great battle, I think.
Look forward to seeing it. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Change for you. Can you talk us through the race?
Yeah, same as always. We're lacking a little bit of straight line speed, which comes to bite me. Great race, to be honest. We're still happy with a podium. Great to keep bringing in the points. I tried to work with my teammate Mike Comber for the start of the race, and I think that might have slightly hindered me because I tried to work with him for a little bit too long. But we'll see what we can do in the final race of the day.